at it again with my best friend.
Another collab, are you surprised?
You're probably not surprised, you guys, but we are so excited for this video because we have a freaking unicorn. I don't even know if I've ever colored someone that has 100% virgin hair, but today's video we're going to be doing a really lived-in look on my assistant, giving her a makeover. My video is going to be dedicated to strictly just foil placement, and Jessie's video is going to be strictly toning, and then we're going to style her up. You guys are going to see the afters. We're going to have formulas, placement, everything from A to Z that you need to know. We're super excited about this, so
stay tuned.
Let's get started. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get into this video. So I'm going to be sectioning her off, and as you can see, her hairline and money pieces are done. You are going to catch that on Jessie's video, so do not worry. I'm going to be doing my sectioning kind of like I always do. I love going off the client's natural part and then just dividing it from behind her ear. And then as far as the back goes, I usually just work with all this hair sectioned down, but since her hair is a little long, I don't want it to be giving me like a hard time clipping it up and down constantly as I'm going through and sectioning. I'm just going to be taking a little section here at her top, and what I'm going to do is clip it away just so it's going to be easier to like clip her hair up and down. It's not giving me any trouble, like I said, and we're just getting it out of the way for now, and we're going to go ahead and tackle this section right here. So the first thing I'm going to be doing, you see I'm shaking her hair just to get all these little baby hairs out of the way. This is not coloring these guys, is going to almost act as like a natural shadow root, and it's going to help blend everything in together even more perfectly than it is. If she was wanting to be super blonde, I probably would color these guys a little bit, but since she doesn't want to be super blonde, I'm just going to be leaving these guys out since we're going to have a lot of dimension in there. I'm going to be taking a section from the middle of that, and we're going to be bricklaying our foils. So the first one, I'm going to be doing a TZ light. You have to remember with the TZ lights, what goes up must come down, so everything that I'm pushing up is going to come back down and act as dimension and help blend in with those little baby hairs that we left out, but we're still going to get a pop of blonde with what I'm coloring with now. So my formula for today is going to be Goldwell Oxycure. I'm starting off with 20 volume in the back, and what I'm going to be doing is kind of starting like a little bit probably below her mid, or at least for me where it would be, saturating everything below there, and then towards the top I'm going to just be feathering up that product. That feather motion is going to be acting as a way to help everything come together at the end and blend, and I'm just going to be placing a foil on top of this. Like I said, we are going to be working in a Bricklay pattern, so I'll start in the middle, I'll do a foil to the left, and I'm going to be doing a foil to the right. But since these foils is kind of pushing that brightness a little bit towards her face, I'm going to go ahead and just do a little baby-like guy right here. And as I am saturating this baby-like guy, look at the top how I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be doing that same feather motion, feathering at the top, so when we go through and root her, she's going to have a blending agent of the root melt that we do on her, but also the little feather strokes that I just did at the top of the foil, just making sure that everything comes together and blend, because at the end of the day, you guys, it's all about that perfect blend. So I'm going to be continuing this Bricklay pattern, but let me tell you guys why I'm using this Bricklay pattern. Whenever it comes to any kind of lived-in look, a balayage or something like today that we're going to be tackling, I always go off of a Bricklay pattern. The reason being is because I feel like sun-kissed looks, more natural lived-in colors, don't really ever look too uniform. So if I was going off a Pacific's foil placement, I feel like it would just be too uniformed, and sometimes it's really easy to like get a little bit too bright or to be packing in my foils more than I should be. Utilizing a Bricklay pattern, however, is going to keep everything nice and broken up. As I'm going through and working my way up her hair, everything's going to be nice and broken up, and it's not going to be too stripy, with a contrast between her natural hair, which is darker, and the pieces that we're highlighting. So now I'm worked my way back over, so I've done my TZ light in the middle, a baby light to the left and to the right, and so what I'm going to be doing right here, just to add an extra little pop, so when she pulls her hair forward, there isn't a shadow box, it's just tipping out this end. So I am teasing that guy, and I'm really focusing the majority of the product towards the end, and then feathering up, just like I've did in that TZ light towards the middle. This is just going to add a little pop towards her ends mainly. And moving on to our next step, what I'm going to be doing is the same Bricklay pattern. I'm going to be doing a baby weave, but I'm going to be keeping it a little bit more textured. So what I mean by that, you guys, is I'm going through and I'm adding in almost where it looks like a few chunks where you can actually see like deep weaves, but they're still as fine as a baby light. The reason I'm doing this is because I want those little textured weaves so it adds contrast with her hair even when I'm adding in a pop. And I'm still going to be doing it as the density of a baby light, is because I want it to get that lift. We all know, especially if you have watched any of my tutorials, I am such a fan on working on thin sections. Yes, it may take a little bit longer to foil, but the processing time is going to be cut down because finer sections lift faster and more even. And after I do that weave, I'm still going to be taking out that guy and tipping it out. The only thing I'm going to be doing different, however, is I'm going to be going through, leaving a little bit of hair between the highlight and the tip out, so she has a little bit of that contrast of her natural color. So whenever you think about it, working from the bottom up of my foil placement, just in this section I'm working on, I'm going to have my tip out, a little bit of her natural hair, and then the contrasted baby light. So there is two different ways that you could tackle this process. You could go through first through your section, bricklay those micro textured baby lights, and then go in and tease out and add in those pops towards the ends. However, if you did that, you would want to up your developer. I don't really want to use anything stronger than 20 on her, just because it is virgin hair. I don't want to blast through that cuticle, and 20 will get the job done, especially with the look we're trying to achieve today. So the way that I am going to be tackling this process is going through, doing my highlight, clipping that up, and then adding in that pop. So as the bottom finishes processing, I can go ahead and rinse that, pull the foils when needed, and we can keep pulling them, working our way up the head just like we are with our foil placement. Now, whenever it comes to foiling long hair, I want you guys to know it is key to make sure you are saturating. So something that helps me, obviously, besides just making sure I'm saturating, is going through and using longer foils. These are the foils by Becky Miller. They are modern foil. You can get them on the Modern Foil website. And the reason that I love these foils is because they're extra long, they're sturdy, they have great grit to them, they don't slide or anything like that, but they're not too firm where it's hard to work with them. And also another shout out to Becky Miller, you guys. She's my girl. I love her. She's amazing. As the board that I'm going to be using is the B board, which is the board that Becky Miller creates. You can also get that on the Modern Foil website. I love it. It is clear. It is cute. It gets the job done. It is the perfect size. And it's also going to be helping me tackle this process of going through whenever I'm feathering or saturating super long hair, because we all know that can be a process in itself. And I am going to be utilizing this board to my advantage to have something firm to kind of put my foil on and really get in there and saturate the hair evenly. And we have worked our way up to tackling that section at the top back of her head, where we can go ahead and tackle that. See, the only thing that I've done different working my way up here, I've continued that same pattern, but I haven't tipped out the interior of her hair, and I'll tell you exactly why. So as I'm working through the interior of her hair, I'm not tipping out, but I'm still doing those highlights like I'm doing here, for example. The reason being, if you think of someone going to the beach, you guys, I use this reference all the time because I love it. It's so true, and I love putting pictures or metaphors to something just to help myself or someone else understand. So let's imagine a girl at the beach. She's out there in the sun laying on her towel at the beach. She's getting her tan on. She's got her tan oil on, but let's talk about what's happening to her hair. Her hairline's the most fragile hair, just like on anybody else. So those are going to get natural. Those are naturally going to get sun-kissed and a little bit lighter. And then she's going to have highlights kind of when her hair is down on top and on bottom of her hair. However, the interior of her hair doesn't really get touched that much because it's covered and kind of protected by the rest of her hair. So by leaving these dropouts and not tipping them out, we are creating that same effect to keeping that dimension in the interior of her hair. So now focusing on the foil placement to the front, we pulled her money pieces. Obviously, those have lifted perfectly. We don't want to over process those. I've already done the other side of her hair, and I've continued the back by doing that same pattern. And then at the top up towards her head, I did tip those ends out just so you guys know. We're going to be focusing on the front. What I'm going to be doing is going straight horizontally up the side of her hair into where her head starts to round right there at the top, and then we're going to be mixing it up. What I'm going to be changing with my pattern is my foils are still going to be kind of spaced out together, but they are going to be a little bit closer, and my baby lights are going to be a little bit more jam-packed together. What this is going to do is make sure we're keeping brightness towards her face, pushing that brightness towards her face, and making sure there's going to be more depth and dimension in the back of her hair than rather towards the front, because everyone wants to feel a little bit brighter towards the front of her hair. And moving on to the last section of this foil placement, we're going to be tackling the section of hair that starts where her natural part is and ends down below where her head starts to curve. And we're going on a slight angle right here, you guys. This is going to work with the head shape, keep it looking natural, and we're basically going to be continuing that same thing, packing in those foils a little bit closer together like we were when we were going up the sides of her head, and then also tipping out a few of those ends. Alright, you guys, as I'm wrapping up this process, we decided as soon as I was done foiling the front, we could rinse her back. It was nice and evenly processed. We wait for the front to catch up, and the rest you're going to have to catch over on Jessie's video, which I'll have the link below in the description. She's going to be going over that money piece that you saw in the beginning, and as you can see right here, kind of dangling in front of Megan's face, and she's also going to be going over toning, and we are going to kick it off with the after just so you can get a peek of what it looks like and check her out. After hanging out all day with us, I'm sure Megan was over it, but I loved seeing this transformation on her. I loved how blended it was. I love how it has the root, the transition of highlights, but it's dimensional and the pops towards the ends. If you guys want to know what happens to the rest of this process, don't forget to check it out over on Jessie's channel. And Megan has been working for me for almost a year, you guys. She is my OG assistant. She deserved this. I was so happy Jessie and I could do this for her. Wow, that was amazing, you guys. I'm so happy how her hair turned out. Megan deserved this makeover. I hope she feels as beautiful as she looks. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget you can always follow me on Instagram over at STYLIST. I'll leave it down right here. And you can watch Jessie's part of the video, which is toning and her working
money pieces.
money pieces and toning, and her working her magic over there. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what kind of videos you want down below, and that's it. That's a wrap.
See you next time.